With that, welcome to Inside This Week, opening edition of Big Ten Today. Rick Pizzo, joined by Dave Wannstedt. We've been spending a lot of time together lately talking about the draft. The draft is now gone, and I'm assuming this chair, this seat is a lot cooler than the seats you were sitting in when you were coaching on the Monday after you make all those selections.
Well, you know what? It's like recruiting in college. I mean, everybody right now is sitting there saying, we got the best draft we've ever had. You know, our guys are so good, we're so fast, we're so much better team.
And at least half of them are wrong.
At least half of them are wrong. So it's a matter of really, did we win the press conference? Did we get the fans and the people who are going to buy those tickets and the marketing people? Did we get them excited? Because if you didn't do that at this point in the season, you're in trouble.
Hey, everybody's unbeaten until opening weekend in the NFL.
That's right.
It is the big story of this day right now, the big story in all of sports, the end of the NFL draft. And what manifests, we'll see come the regular season. 42 total Big Ten players were selected, 4 going in the first round, led by Marvin Harrison, who went 4th overall to Arizona. Michigan sent 18 players to the Combine. That was an all-time record. They had a school record 13 of those players drafted. 11 of the 14 current Big Ten schools had at least a player drafted. Obviously, the 4 incoming schools were part of this year's draft as well. Let's discuss some Big Ten players landing at spots where we think they could have immediate impact. We know Marvin Harrison will be that guy as long as Kyler Murray stays healthy. The J.J. McCarthy pick, though, is fascinating because the Vikings don't really have a quarterback right now that you look at and say, well, he's going to be the opening day starter. We knew for a long time Minnesota was interested in McCarthy. There was talk they could even trade up higher than the 10th spot if there was a risk of losing him. He steps into a situation surrounded by talent, surrounded by a staff that likely believes this is going to be the guy.
Absolutely. You know, they have Sam Darnold on the roster right now, former Trojan, but he's bounced around the league. But everyone's talking about Caleb Williams at the Bears, what a great supporting cast he has. And, he can come in as a rookie. It's not a typical situation for a rookie where the team is horrible around him. Well, J.J. McCarthy, I love this situation for him. When you think about it, he's going in the door. He's got a tight end in Hawkinson, he plays as good as anybody in the league. You got Jefferson on one side. You got Justin Jefferson on one side. You got Jordan Addison, another number 1 pick, on the other side. You got Hawkinson, tight end, and then they signed Aaron Jones, the great running back, the lifeline of the Packers for the last 5 years. So, and then take a look at the offensive line. Everybody says, they got 2 number 1 picks, 2 number 2 picks. I hope they start JJ day 1. That's what I would do. I would not waste any time with anybody else. Put the kid in there. He's ready to go, and let's move on down the road.
So from the coach's perspective, what's the risk reward there? Because, yes, you want to get him in, get him meaningful reps. Maybe he has a little bit of rope, but at the same time, you don't want to mess with a young man's confidence if that early season schedule is tough. And I understand. JJ's a very mature guy, a very confident guy, but there certainly is a little bit of risk starting a rookie in week 1.
There is. And when I was at the Bears, Brett Favre started, his first year. And I was at the Dolphins, Tom Brady started. And in both of these situations, one, Mike Holmgren, offensive-minded head coach, Belichick defense, they both had kind of a similar philosophy. A lot of screens, Rick, a lot of high percentage throws, balanced running game. This is how they got Brady to be confident, Brett Favre to be confident right off the bat. So that's on the head coach. The head coach of the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, he's an offensive guy. It's on you to make sure that you put a good game plan in that JJ can be successful because he's got talent around him.
Would have been nice, though, if Favre and Brady were actually on your team throwing for you, not throwing against you, right?
Coach, I had nightmares and still do.
Looks like you sleep pretty well. There was a second-round pick that I think was a steal, and that is Johnny Newton. I'm not sure why the Illinois defensive lineman wasn't chosen in the first round. He has the measurables. He has amazing hands. He was as productive as any player at his position. Obviously, somebody in the first round didn't believe he was worth a pick, but with 36, the Washington Commanders get Newton. I think, Dave, he's a guy who steps in. I think he starts from day one. I think he's an impact player from day one.
I agree. You're right on point, Rick. He's what I put as a playmaker. And when you get defensive tackles, tackles now, not linebackers, and they can make plays like Johnny Newton can, that's what I love. That guy's I want in my scheme. And everybody was comparing him to the kid from Texas, Byron Murphy, who got drafted earlier in the first round. He's bigger, maybe stronger, but Johnny had twice the sacks, twice the tackles.
Got to make the plays.
Make plays. And guess where he's at? He's in there at Washington. Dan Quinn is the new head coach there, a defensive-minded guy who loves to rotate. When he was at Dallas, he was rotating those defensive linemen in, 5, 6, 7 guys in. So Johnny Newton, he's going to get an opportunity early. And when a head coach is the defensive guy, that's a real plus for a young guy on defense coming in and playing early.
And we've seen the impact that defensive tackles, especially as of late. I'm not saying that Johnny Newton is Aaron Donald, because there's only one Aaron Donald, arguably the greatest tackle to ever play the position. But Dave, as the game kind of changes a little bit, that position has become more important in the new look NFL.
Absolutely. No question. With 3, 4, 5 receivers, you need defensive backs covering. So the guys up front got to do more. Yeah. And in this Washington situation, obviously Montez Sweat is gone. He's one of their stars. Chase Young was one of their stars, Ohio State. He's gone. So there's some real opportunity for a young guy like Johnny to come into Washington and make some noise.
And I know folks in the Big Ten that played against Illinois over the last couple of years, happy that he is in the NFL, not having to deal with him and Keith Randolph on that terrific defensive line that Illinois had a year ago. Cooper DeJean has long been a fascinating prospect. He's obviously a cornerback who could potentially slide to safety in the NFL, likely why he was a second, not a first-round pick. But also, Dave, a guy that I think with the Eagles will probably be an immediate impact player on special teams, not just defense.
I agree with you. He was a very difficult one to evaluate, in my opinion, watching all the tape on him, because he was a corner, listed as a corner. He's got the speed to be the corner. He's got the intelligence. But, does he have the hips and stuff? Because he's a physical player, so you kind of want him everywhere. Last year, the Eagles, they had the pass rush. They needed coverage guys. And today, I'm looking at the depth chart. One day, he's already listed as a starting nickelback. So they put him in there, and you might say, oh, it's just a nickelback. No, nickelbacks change. You know this, Rick. Everybody's playing 3 receivers, 4 receivers. The nickelbacks are playing 80% of the snaps. And what do you got to do? You got to be the smartest guy in the secondary, because you're playing some linebacker, you're playing some secondary. You got to be a good tackler and physical. You're playing the pass, but if they hand it off, you got to come up and play the run. So there's more on the nickel back on these NFL teams today, responsibility-wise, than there's ever been in the past. And then you just said it. They got the bonus of the special teams on top of it. So they got big plans for him. There's no question about that, and I think it was a great pick. I mean, they're going to be. He's going to love it. They got a good team, and he's going to be real successful there.
Some of our Canadian rock fans watching out there got excited when you kept saying Nickelback. No, not that Nickelback. The position in NFL, Nickelback, and you brought it up. The expanded NFL offense. Everybody going on the outside. The term Nickelback just means an extra defensive back. I would argue with most defenses, you're playing with that extra DB on 70, 75% of your snaps.
Almost 80 last year.
Unbelievable. Yep. So you go in as a nickelback, you are basically part of that starting secondary as long as you are the starting nickelback, which is where Cooper DeJean is listed right now. Go a little bit further down into the draft, and obviously there was so much offense early, then we got some defense, and then we went back to offense. Braylon Allen is a guy who was productive from the jump, came in as a 17-year-old true freshman at Wisconsin, at least in age, because he was a grown blank man when you looked at him with pads on, had a lot of carries for this Wisconsin team. So I wasn't surprised that he decided to enter the draft with eligibility left. You want to have tread on that tire if you're going to be a running back. He comes into a New York Jets team that needs to be able to run the football, and he joins a very similar running back in their backfield in Breece Hall.
Yeah, and I think it's a good compliment. When you look back what happened at Green Bay, and obviously Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback, so they're trying to simulate that a little bit. And when at Green Bay, they had Aaron Jones and they had A.J. Dillon. the big, stronger guy. And they used them both. It was the 1-2 punch. They got Breece Hall, as you said, who's more of a scat, big play guy. And I think Breland will come in there, and he's going to have a real role. They can use him on protection and pass block him because of his size and strength, short yardage, goal line. I mean, there's going to be a lot of situations that he really will have the best opportunity, even over Breece Hall. And then you got Aaron Rodgers. What do they got? They signed 3 free agents. They drafted Fashawn Yu out of Penn State in the first round. So you got a rookie there. You got a couple. So how do you help your offensive line, Rick? You run the football. How do you help your all-pro Hall of Fame quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, coming off of Achilles? Run the football. So I think, and you got a defensive-minded head coach, Robert Saleh. So he ain't going to throw it 50 times. Breland Allen's going to have some real opportunities.
Well, you also mentioned quarterbacks that can kill defenses by making right decisions and checking it down. Braylon Allen really worked hard his last couple of years at Wisconsin to become a better pass catcher out of the backfield. In the NFL today, if you have a running back who can jump outside when the quarterback gets in trouble and then makes plays with a short little screen pass, that's not just a glorified run. It's been a big part of the NFL offense the last couple of seasons.
Absolutely. The more you can do, obviously, the more value to have. And in this situation, and with his size and strength, he can pass block. So if you got a guy that you don't have to pull out of the game every time you're going to throw a pass because he can catch and he can block, that checks another box for him, and he's in a good situation. The Jets are going to make some noise this year, and he's going to have a lot of fun up there.
All right, so we've talked offense, we've talked defense. Now let's talk punters. Every Iowa football fan's favorite topic. Torrey Taylor, the best punter in the country, without question, the last couple of years, ends up just down the road from our studios here in Chicago. He'll punt for the Bears at Soldier Field. May all your punts be downwind at maybe one of the windiest locations in all of the NFL. But I think it says everything, Dave. To have a punter chosen in the 4th round, the Bears know how important field position can be. And this guy flipped the field time and time again in his college career.
Well, you know what it does? It takes a lot of pressure off of your offensive coordinator and your quarterback in forcing yourself to go for it on 4th down. You're backed up. What do? Do we take a chance? Because if we punt it, they're going to get the ball at the 50-yard line. No, we're going to punt it, okay? And we're going to back them up. I mean, his, numbers are crazy. We know the hang time. The one that gets me is he had 32 punts where he was punting inside the 20. 29 of them were fair catch. Which means their offense and our defense, they're going to be starting at the 10, 5, wherever. I mean, that is such, you just said hidden yardage in special teams. It is such a big weapon. And then half these guys, he didn't get drafted from someplace in California or Florida. So as far as
this is a great point.
Being in Chicago and the elements, I mean, we sat here and watched the game with Iowa where it's snowing and blizzarding, and he's just out there banging the ball. That's perfect for Soldier Field. And then the other thing, he's kicked in bigger stadiums in college than he's going to in the NFL. Everyone says, well, these kickers get nervous. You got the NFL crowd. Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. The Bears got the smallest stadium in the NFL. They got, 60,000?
For now.
Well,
allegedly.
Don't worry. By the time that gets built.
Different conversation for a different time. All right, from the past to the future when Big Ten Today returns. Dave, on what's next for the Baker's dozen worth of Wolverines who heard their names called over the weekend. But first, it is year 2 for Luke Fickell in Madison. What changes should you expect to see on the field this season in Madtown? We'll ask the Badger headman right after this.
Big Ten Today is presented by Gatorade.